This video is for people who have been married, or even if you haven't been married, but you've been with a guy who, or a female that made you feel good in the beginning. We know the whole story. It's always good in the beginning. And then next thing you're crying or upset or confused. Or first comes confusion. Always. Confusion always comes first. And then anger. And, I want to make a few videos about the many stages of what happens. Because, at the age that I am, I'm just finding out in the last 5 years ago that for more than 23 years, I was with a narcissist who was also schizophrenic, but was never diagnosed until he was over 60, age 60. Before that, he didn't know. His mom didn't know. His father didn't know. The whole family. Nobody knew that he was narcissistic or, most important, schizophrenic. His mom was also a narcissistic because there was a time when, in the beginning, I noticed in the first 4 days, I was very miserable and angry a lot with him around. But I was drawn to him. He was drawn to me. Like we had an animal magnetism going on. Not lust. Just strong vibes. And he was very negative. Everything I said, it was always, he couldn't see anything good about anything. But then the minute that, I say maybe about 4 months in my presence, in my company, he started trying to see the good parts, or maybe he was faking, I don't know, just to be with me longer, because I kept telling him he had to go every day, because it was just too much for my, my being. It was too much of a damper, morning, noon, and night. So, anyhow, he learned how to try to be positive, or maybe he was faking it. Either way, we went to his mom's house, and he kept trying to be positive with every little thing. And she got so upset. And this woman was over the age of 77. She was so upset. She's like 100 now. I don't know if she's living. I haven't seen them for years. And she was so mad. And she told me, just be quiet. Just let him do what he wants. Don't say anything. Just let him do what he wants. And that's when I knew that it was never going to work between us. Because I was never going to tell him to stay away from his mother. And he was never going to change as long as he was seeing his mother. And he needed to see her every day. And that was nice and all, but when she got so mad, every time he tried to say one positive word, and she'd say, oh, stop that. Stop it right now. And then when he acted really bad, and that's when she smiled, all the happiness in her face when he acted so stupid, and just so critical and full of criticism and nothing nice to say at all, just horrible. And that's when I knew that we had no future. That's when I knew we had no future, not ever. And every time I was around him, it just made my stomach hurt so bad. And every time I wasn't around him, I had these feelings like he was pulling me. His spirit was pulling my spirit, even if I ignored him. So this is part 1 of many, many, many videos to come, because that was 23 years of lessons. And this series of videos is, once again, it's about being with somebody for a really long time and not even knowing that they are, schizophrenic, which is a very, very, very serious mental disease. And to deal with somebody that long and not know, and for them not to know that they have it, and for them not to ever be on medication for that whole 23 years that you were involved, how many times I got up and called my son after I studied his everyday routine at the moment of whenever I couldn't take it anymore. And if I say get out, that's not real. That's just anger. But if I want to get out, I would call my son and have my son pick me up after I studied my husband's routine and knew how many hours he would be gone a day. And I would leave every piece of furniture there, everything. Whether I paid for it, he paid for it, it didn't matter. I did it several times. Leave the whole apartment, clothes and all, just taking maybe 10 outfits and leaving everything there. And I guess maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, according to landlords, then he would abandon the apartment instead of keeping the apartment. And that would be another reason I knew we could never make it, because why would you leave the apartment and you have money to pay for it? I guess that would be for memories, reasons of maybe he didn't want to stay there with the memories, but he didn't pay the bill on the way out. So I would always contact the landlord every month, even though I left the apartment, to see if the bills were paid, if the rent was paid. If he was still there, I wasn't going to pay anything. But if he was gone, then I would pay off whatever needed to be paid off, because, number one, my name was on it. And first things first is credit, is self-preservation. And in this world, that includes credit. That includes paying all your bills all the time.